Hey everyone, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Well, folks, I'm sure many of you saw the news. There's been some escalation with the Iran war and the Strait of Hormuz situation, and Bitcoin had a pullback to about $71,000. Now, not a major pullback because we were at 73, so just a couple of $1,000s, and it's still within that range we've been talking about. The MACD on the daily is still in control of the bulls, and the RSI is not in the overbought zone, so there's still room to run here. However, this situation could escalate and then we could see the stock market and everything start to dump. But the stock market is still showing some strength here. If we look at the S&P 500, bulls in control on the daily chart MACD, RSI also not in the overbought zone. Now, that doesn't mean we can't see small pullbacks before we continue higher, but it's a great time of uncertainty with that Iran war situation. But if things are not going to escalate as much as they have in the past, we could see further upside. Again, we are in the midst of a relief rally, which I think will potentially take us to 80K, then a rollover to test the lows. If you look at the Bitcoin weekly chart, seeing some good things here with the MACD flipping green for the first time in a very long time, and the RSI is moving away from the oversold zone. So some nice strength here, but nothing's guaranteed. Obviously, we're looking at probabilities when it comes to markets. So we're going to have to be patient and see how the coming week and weeks play out. Now, we have some interesting news here. Elon Musk SpaceX holds $603 million in Bitcoin despite a $5 billion loss stemming from XAI. Arkham data shows 8,285 Bitcoin in Coinbase Prime custody as the company swings from $8 billion profit to nearly $5 billion loss ahead of its IPO push. So the big takeaway here is SpaceX still holds Bitcoin on its balance sheet. Tesla still holds Bitcoin on its balance sheet. Elon himself personally holds Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and Ethereum in his portfolio. So great to see these companies are still holding this capital on their balance sheet. And what's fascinating is SpaceX is going to do an IPO. It looks like sometime this year, and they're going to have Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So that's a really cool standard that's going to be set because this is not a crypto company, obviously, right? So I know other crypto companies have gone public and they hold crypto, obviously, but to have a company that's mainstream that is in another sector entirely having Bitcoin on its balance sheet and they haven't sold and they're going to IPO, it's pretty significant. And I think this is a great example of how things are going to play out in the future with companies holding crypto on their balance sheet. Now, we have news here that the ECB, the European Central Bank, backs the EU plan to centralize crypto supervision under the Paris-based ESMA watchdog. So across the globe, again, we've talked about it, we are seeing legislation and the guardrails being put into place to allow this asset class and industry to flourish. And I believe with all of these things happening globally, and here in the United States, we have the Clarity Act we're waiting on, and with the on-ramps being built for institutions, right? Different financial products, ETFs, and much more. This will kick off the super cycle as we head into the next bull market. So the ECB formally endorsed the European Commission's plan to shift supervision of major crypto firms, trading venues, and clearinghouses from national regulators to the ESMA per Reuters. The ECB warned that the ESMA must receive adequate staffing and funding and recommend a phased transition to avoid disruption. Smaller EU states, including Ireland, Luxembourg, and Malta, have resisted the plan. So all the ducks are getting in line here. Yes, there are going to be your naysayers and some people pushing back, but at the end of the day, they're going to have to get in line and they're going to regulate this industry and this asset class, and it's here to stay clearly. Now, speaking of the EU, banks, corporates in Europe are actively selecting partners for a stablecoin push. So across the globe, big institutions are tokenizing, they're launching stablecoins, and much more. Banks and corporates across Europe are moving beyond exploration and are now actively selecting infrastructure partners to support stablecoin adoption, according to Lamine Brahimi, a co-founder and managing partner at crypto custody technology provider Taurus. Brahimi told Cointelegraph that 18 months ago, most conversations were still educational, focused on understanding stablecoins and their risks. Today, firms with broad level approval are preparing to go live. He said the introduction of the EU's Markets and Crypto Assets Regulation, MiCA, has accelerated that transition by replacing fragmented national rules with a single block wide regulatory regime. Here is a quote. In the past 12 months alone, some of Europe's most stringent financial institutions are all arriving at the same conclusion. Digital assets, including stablecoins, belong inside the existing banking stack, not beside it, he said. Big statement. And it's what we've been talking about for a long time. And these folks are getting educated. Now they're ready to build, and even some are further ahead and ready to roll out into production their stable coins, their crypto products, and tokenization and blockchain integration in different ways. So this is why I'm very bullish. This is why I keep saying that super cycle is coming, because you can see he references the EU's version of the Clarity Act, which is the MiCA regulation. Once these things are in place, it allows institutions to go all in to build and invest capital. Now, speaking of stablecoins, stablecoin transaction volumes could reach $719 trillion by 2035 and rival Visa and Mastercard by 2039, driven by a $100 trillion generational wealth transfer to crypto native younger generations. This is spot on. It's only going to continue to grow as the legislation is rolled out and more of these companies keep building. However, they reference Visa and MasterCard. Those companies are integrating stablecoins, right? I've interviewed the head of crypto at MasterCard, and I should have him back on soon. And they're all trying to, integrate stablecoins in different ways. And they've all formed their own crypto conglomerates with different companies and much more. So they're trying not to be disrupted, which obviously makes sense, because if you don't adapt to the technology, you will have your blockbuster moment, right? Many of you remember the blockbuster Netflix situation and how that turned out. All right, folks, this episode is brought to you by iTrust Capital, which allows you to invest in crypto and precious metals via an IRA. So with iTrust Capital, you can invest in 90 plus crypto assets, as well as stablecoins like Ripple's RLUSD, Circle's USDC, and precious metals like gold and silver. And the great thing about the gold and silver product, it is not paper gold and silver. It is the real asset, so you can actually redeem the physical asset if you want. And you can trade these assets 24/7. Again, it's in an IRA, so you get huge tax advantages. So that's a big, big factor. Many of you know you incur capital gains when you sell into a profit, and you can avoid a lot of that by doing it via an IRA. And it's low cost, it's no monthly fee. So you can roll over your existing 401k or IRA to iTrust Capital's version. They also have a custody solution, which is really great. It's called Premium Custody Account. It uses institutional grade custody, such as Coinbase Prime, which BlackRock uses. And it's a closed loop system. So if someone hacks into your account, they can't withdraw your funds. I believe this is the second safest way to custody your assets, right behind, of course, the number one option, which is self-custody, where you control the private keys. But this is a great option, and it uses tier one institutional level custody, and it's low fees as well. So iTrust Capital offering some great solutions here. I have an account with them, so check them out. Link will be in the description. Go to itrustcapital.com/go/thinkingcrypto. If you sign up with my link, you get a $100 funding bonus. Again, check out the link in the description. Okay, folks, we got some big news around Bitwise and Hyperliquid. So Bitwise files second amendment to its Hyperliquid ETF, adds Wintermute and Flowdesk as trading counterparties. So we continue to see more ETFs are being launched for altcoins. So Hyperliquid obviously has its respective token, and it's getting a lot of adoption. I personally don't hold a token, but it's been doing pretty well. And we are seeing different folks launch these ETFs, and competition's heating up, right? One player makes a move, then you see the others start to follow. So Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric Balchunas said the fund could launch imminently. The filing comes a day after Bitwise Europe listed a fully backed Hyperliquid staking ETP on Deutsche Börse Xetra, with hype up roughly 200% over the past year. So if you've been holding hype, congrats to you. But again, these on-ramps being built here, going back to my super cycle thesis, legislation plus the on-ramps being set up globally will allow more capital to come in. And I think these assets see higher prices and we have a better bull market than the one we previously had. Now, moving ahead, $1.6 billion Ether machine SPAC deal collapses over unfavorable market. So essentially, the Ether machine, an Ethereum treasury firm, meaning they buy and hold ETH on their balance sheet, currently has more than 1 billion in Ether in their treasury. They were going to go public or get a public listing via a SPAC deal, but that has obviously collapsed due to the market being the way it is. And I don't blame the people who they're trying to do that with. And it's actually a merger with Dynamics Corporation. And apparently, Dynamics will receive a $50 million termination payment as the agreement unwinds. So, the longer this bull market goes, and if the prices go lower, which I think there's a good probability they can, we could see some of these digital asset treasury companies collapse. Hopefully, they prepared for this bear market, but it wouldn't surprise me if some of them collapse. Not all, but some. And we'll see what happens, guys. It's tough out there, right? I think I hardly look at my portfolio these days because we know it's been stuck at the same place for the most part, sideways chop, and we've been down. But we're waiting for Bitcoin, as you know, we started the pod with, to continue that relief rally, and then we may see some alts start to have a mini relief rally. Again, not a move to new all-time highs, but better than being down. Okay, moving ahead, CFTC unveils Innovation Task Force members in Crypto Clarity Push. So lots happening on the CFTC front. Chair Mike Selig's doing some amazing work. He's, of course, been collaborating with his counterpart, which is the SEC and Chair Atkins. So it's really, really great to see. So the Innovation Task Force was initially launched by CFTC Chairman Mike Selig on March 24th, who appointed Michael Passalacqua, if I'm saying that right, as the leader of the group. Passalacqua is currently the senior advisor to Selig at the CFTC. In an announcement on Friday, the CFTC said that Passalacqua will be joined by a list of 5 initial members, including Hank Balaban, a former Latham and Watkins crypto lawyer, Sam Canavos, an ex-Potomac crypto and prediction markets advisor, Mark Fajfar, a CFTC legal veteran, Eugene Gonzalez IV, an ex-Sidley blockchain lawyer, and Dina Musa, a CFTC market participants division special counsel. So here's a quote: "The Innovation Task Force brings together a leading team that exhibits deep expertise and an enthusiastic commitment to deliver clear rules of the road for American investors," Selig said. So love it, guys. This is what we need. And it's great that these agencies are open for business again and working in good faith with the industry. Now, folks, final news item here. And I covered this in the previous podcast, and I saw a lot of comments in the comment section. How dare you criticize President Trump? Unsubscribe, unsubscribe. I've said it many times. I don't worship any politician or any political party. I don't kiss anybody's shoe. I don't kiss the ring. I'm here to hold politicians accountable, right, left, independent, whatever, right? Because politicians are there to serve us. We elect them, right? And I need to call it like it is. I got to call balls and strikes. And I'm not here to paint a rosy picture for anybody or be unfair to anybody. We got to call it like it is. And this situation with World Liberty Financial that I reported in the last podcast has escalated, and it's not looking good. Obviously, Trump is connected to this. His family, Justin's son, is calling out the World Liberty Financial platform. The platform is threatening a lawsuit in response. So he did a full X post saying the World Liberty Financial platform has a backdoor backlisting function. And obviously, he's calling them out for doing scams and bad behavior and all that, right? And it's not looking good. And of course, World Liberty Financial replied on X saying, we're going to sue you and all kinds of stuff. It is a mess. This is why I keep saying President Trump has been net positive for crypto, but I wish he would distance himself and kick these people out who are trying to come to him saying, hey, launch this, launch this meme coin, right? Look at his meme coin and Melania's coin down 99%. It's a mess, and it just gives the industry a bad name, a bad look to people who don't know much about crypto. They just look at it like, wait, what's happening here? Are these people stealing people's money? Is crypto all a scam? That's the impression they get. That's not the impression we want to put out there. We need to have people look at this and see the benefits of the technology because there's incredible things being built. Now, do I think this is going to kill crypto or hurt crypto? No. Obviously, we're in a bear market, and when we come out of it and the price starts pumping, people forget about these things. But again, we got to call balls and strikes. We got to call it like it is, right? We're not here to kiss politicians' asses. I don't worship any politician. I don't bend the knee. I hold them accountable. So I've had many politicians on the podcast, members of Congress, senators, and so forth, and I will continue to have that. But we got to call it like it is, right, guys? So again, I'll say it just because people get very emotionally triggered, right? President Trump, net positive for crypto, definitely better, but he is doing things that are also making the industry look bad. With his meme coins, his wife's, the first lady's meme coin, World Liberty Financial, and this whole drama, it's all making things look bad. And look here, Bloomberg is picking up on it, mainstream media is picking up on it, right? Trump linked World Liberty crypto project faces investor revolt. That's not the headline we want out there when we're trying to push adoption, when we're trying to get crypto legislation through. So this is where I'm going to call it like it is. And if you want to unsubscribe, go ahead. But we're going to keep it real. We're going to call it out. Well, again, right, left, independent. I don't care. You do something that is not copacetic, we're going to call it out. All right, guys, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't as yet. Be sure to support the podcast by subscribing to my free email newsletter. It is 100% free. Link will be in the description. Check out my book on Amazon. Be sure to grab a copy of that. It's available in paperback and digital. And check out my course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a course that teaches you everything you need to know about crypto and blockchain technology. We have a huge bear market sale. You get 50% off the price of the course. Use the code BEAR, BEAR at checkout. So once again, BEAR, BEAR at checkout and get 50% off. Go to My Crypto Course to learn more. All the links will be in the description. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.